welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and this is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. Jerry's in the seminary right now with his first semester classes. He'll be back with us, so you have me today, I have you, and hopefully you'll weigh in on this topic. Now, it's a little bit of a tricky subject here, and it could be a little bit of a loaded topic, but let's try to tackle it together, okay? Because that's the way the Take Two family does it. So I need your help. I'm going to ask you, do you appreciate your in-laws? Do you appreciate your in-laws? Would you please call in, speak to Matt. If you don't want to give your real first name, how about your confirmation name? Because I understand that you want to protect families, but we really want to know what's going on in with our extended families and our in-laws and people that are involved around our marriages. Okay, so it's very important. So do you appreciate your in-laws? Now, if you do, and you want to shout it to the world, absolutely. I'll put their names in the prayer book. We will praise God that you have fantastic in-laws. You know, sometimes if you're an only child, you love having a sister-in-law or a brother-in-law because it extends your family. It expands your family, and you love that. And they become so close to you. Sometimes in-laws can be a little intrusive in the relationship. We can talk about that as well. But I want to know today, do you appreciate your in-laws? And here's the number. So fill up the phone lines. Think about it for a moment. You can give your confirmation name or a name that you wish that your parents always gave you or said about you. You can do that. You know, maybe they called you Angel because you're such an angel baby. Okay, you could do that. You could say that your name is Angel. I love that. Or you can give us your real first name, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, especially if you're going to be praising God for your in-laws. Okay? Here's the number. Let's go. Don't wait till the last minute. I need help here. I can talk about in-laws all day long. 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. You do not have to be Catholic to call in. I say it every time we do this show. Why? Because we have brand new listeners, especially on Sirius XM. I hear it all the time. People are taking pictures of their dashboard where it shows, you know, Take Two, and they'll send it to me. It's so sweet. I just love it. So I thank you guys very much for listening. But you can don't have to be Catholic to call in. Just dial this number, 833-288-3986. If you're brand new to Catholic radio, you've been listening for a little bit, maybe you just tripped onto the station, welcome to EWTN. It's wonderful that you're here. Now we'd like you to participate because you're part of the family. That's how Take Two rolls. It's all the lay faithful that comes together and shares their experiences about their faith, their life, everything that's going on, and we journey together as the body of Christ. Now, if you don't have time to wait on hold for a few minutes, then you can always text us about your in-laws. You text the letters EWTN to 58177. You wait for our response. Then you text us your first name and your brief comment, okay? Just know that message and data rates may apply. Today is St. Leonard of Noblac, and very interesting saint. I love the lives of the saints. You can learn so much. So please, when we highlight a certain saint every day, take the time for like 10 minutes just to go online and search that saint and learn a little bit about that saint. Maybe, you know, what they're patron saint of something, and it might resonate with you. It might relate to what you're going through. And that's really the beauty of the saints. They're there to help us get to heaven. But today I'm asking the question, do you appreciate your in-laws? And I'd like you to fill up those last couple open phone lines, and we'll get going here on Take Two. This is a very quick hour in radio. As a matter of fact, when we pre-record with guests, it's so interesting because when guests come on, they say, that is the fastest hour I've ever had. And it's so true because we just go back and forth really quickly and we learn and grow together. And that's really important. And that's what Take Two is all about. So don't sit this out. Don't think somebody else is going to make the phone call for you. I need to hear from you. 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. 888-398-3986. Okay, super easy to call in, speak to Matt Kabinski. He'll chat with you for a few minutes, put you on hold. You'll get to listen live, and we'll just slip you right into the discussion, and you'll be on air so you can talk to the whole world about your in-laws. Charles is on the controls. He does a fabulous job. We're going to be looking for some really interesting life skills, little tidbits of information that you can use maybe with your in-laws, and we'll be posting them on Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. So make sure you like us there. And also too, just a couple other housekeeping notes. You can find me, Debbie Georgiani, on Facebook, and I'd love for you to start following me there, because we're going to be getting into some webinars with Stan Tall starting in Advent. So if you're interested in that help, and that can really help your marriage, can help your family, then that would be at stantalltoday.com. And you can always get a free consultation there as well. But I'd love for you to fill up those last couple of open phone lines so we can get going and have a really robust discussion today about in-laws. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to cause any division, any troubles in your home. We just want to maybe share some information so that we can learn and grow. Okay. And I wanted to share with the Take Two family, I loved my in-laws. Absolutely love my in-laws. Wonderful extended family. I'm so glad. I'm one of six in my family. And then being married and having all these brothers and sisters-in-law, and then, you know, the mom and dad of a second set of parents that you can call mom and dad. I just loved that. It was wonderful. I loved my mother-in-law so much that she was actually in the birthing room when I gave birth to my second child. That's how close I was to her. Everybody's gone now. They've all gone home to meet the Lord, and God bless them all. And it was amazing. And thinking about this, about in-laws, I realized that there were a few things that I did wrong, and at the beginning of my marriage, and I wish I had done it better. And I can share that maybe when we start going to the calls. So keep that in mind too, if you want to kind of discuss and process through some things and maybe start anew. That's a wonderful thing to do. So just keep that in mind too, that Take Two can be used in that way. Okay. You hear the music. When we come back, we're going to go right to the phone. So just everybody hang on. I would really love to just go as fast as I possibly can and get your takes on this. Do you appreciate your in-laws today? That's the topic on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. So please call in.
EWTN Radio brings you the Holy Rosary twice each day for over 25 years. Tune in every morning at 5:30 Eastern for Mother Angelica, and every evening at 9:30 Eastern for Father Benedict Rochelle, only on EWTN Radio.
The EWTN Radio listener comment line is open right now for you. If you've got a question or comment about what you hear on EWTN Radio, we'd love to hear it. Call 205-795-5773. We'd also like to know how our programming has impacted your life or the life of someone you know. That number again, 205-795-5773. And thank you for listening to EWTN Radio.
This is Doug Keck. I'll be talking with another important Catholic author on EWTN's Bookmark, Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Here's a thought from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. I think one of the greatest things you could kick yourself all around heaven for, if you could do that, would be for not realizing He was always with you, just as if no one else existed. Mother's perpetual calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available from the EWTN Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com.
EWTN. Live truth, live Catholic.
I'm asking the question today, do you appreciate your in-laws? And Brandon was on the line and dropped off. Brandon in North Dakota, if you want to call back, we'll inch you up to the front of the line because you would have been first. So if you have a moment and you have some time in your day that you can call back, please dial in 833-288-3986. Everyone else, start calling because there's still an open phone line, 833-288-3986. EWTN. And I'll get to Randy in just a moment. I just wanted to share with our listeners about Roku. Do you Roku? I do, actually. It's really cool. Roku allows you to instantly stream EWTN to your TV. All you need is a high-speed internet connection, a TV, and the Roku player. For more information, visit EWTN.com/Roku. I love Roku. I think it's so cool. Very, very convenient, very easy. And I just feel it's a quick way to get TV. So, Brandon, again, one more shout out, call back. Randy's going to be up first in Alberta, Canada on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Randy. Welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So what do you think of this topic?
My call.
Yes, thank you. Are you a first-time caller, right?
And yes, I am. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Randy. Yeah, Randy's a first-time caller, everyone. So everybody cheer. Okay, everybody's cheering for you, Randy. Go ahead.
That's awesome. Thank you. I love the topic. I have great in-laws. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law have been great. Especially my mother-in-law. They both have been. But she always puts everybody else first. She's always helped with our children and like her grandchildren, and now some of her great grandchildren. And she's always there for everybody. And it's sad, but a couple of years ago, she's fighting first with some mental illness, and she's been in and out of the hospital, and she's having a real hard time get through it. And it is just so sad because she does not deserve this, and we always wonder why. And because she's just not the same person, and it would be nice if we could get some help for her and some prayers for her. And my father-in-law, his health isn't the best either, so I'd really like to pray for them today.
Absolutely. Do you feel comfortable, Randy, giving us the first names, and we will definitely storm heaven?
Yes, for sure. Her name is Liz.
Okay.
And his name is Leander.
Leander. Got it. Do you call them mom and dad? I'm just curious.
No, I don't actually. No, not usually. No.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
But they are just like a mom and dad. They have been super, and it's always sad to see our loved ones go through stuff like this. I know they are getting older, and this is something probably we all may end up going through. But with her health right now, it's really too bad. We feel so bad for her, and we've tried to help her in so many ways, and she's just really struggling, and she just doesn't seem to deserve it because she's, dedicated her whole life with the children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, and like I said, always been there for everybody all the time.
Oh, and is she a woman of faith? Did you say?
Yes, she is. They're both. Yeah, we are all Catholic. Yes, she is.
Now, you gave us the name, and I heard it as Liz. Is she an Elizabeth?
She is Elizabeth, yeah. Okay, she's an Elizabeth, yeah. But always goes by Liz.
Liz, right. But her birth name is Elizabeth. Okay. Would you let her know she's got a big family praying for her?
I will do that for sure.
Absolutely. Randy, that is awesome that you just highlighted her and just shared what a holy woman she is. I think that is wonderful. And for a son-in-law to do that, wow, that's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I love your show. Keep up the good work. We listen to you all the time up here in Canada.
Oh, good. I love Canada. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. You guys are so wonderful. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Wow, that was a great call. Okay, one more shout out for Brandon from North Dakota on Real Presence Radio. If you want to call back, you were going to be first. Randy took that spot, but now just freed a phone line for you. So if you'd like to call in, please do so. We're going to get to Carol from San Antonio, Texas on Guadalupe Radio Network. Are we going to go to Carol? Hello, Carol.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
This is about in-laws, but it's a slightly different angle. I don't have children for in-laws, but my sister has one son and a daughter-in-law, and they had a falling out about 3 years ago. And my sister has written and called and asked for forgiveness and humbled herself and tried to reach out. And but the daughter-in-law will no longer want to participate in our family at all, and they have 2 children. So here my sister has the one son and two grandchildren, and she doesn't get to see them hardly at all anymore. And so I just, wonder, how do you deal with situations like that where the in-law tries to distance themselves from the family of their spouse and make it difficult for the family to interact with the children and grandchildren and my great nephews and my nephews. Is its effect. And they, we've texted her and she won't respond to the text. Call on birthdays, don't get a call back. It's really sad. It's tragic, really, because my sister's 78, and she's had to go 3 years now with hardly any visits or communication.
Right. Okay. So I wanted to share something with you, and I think this is so important, and I hope everybody really listens closely to how I'm going to respond to this. First of all, Carol, I wanted to let you know that this situation that's happening with your sister, it's actually quite common now, unfortunately. Most of the people that we are receiving in life coaching, they're having these kinds of situations with their adult children and the son-in-laws or the daughter-in-laws or the something that's going on with the family, or the kids are gravitating towards one side of the family more so than the other, and they're shutting out and moving away, and estrangement is happening, and distance and severing of relationships for all sorts of reasons. Some of the reasons are that they just feel like they're throwing around words like it's a toxic relationship, so we don't want them in our life, things like that. It's really, really tragic. I can't even begin to tell you. I know this from the panel of coaches that we have. We are constantly talking about it. It's happening just round the clock. People are calling in saying, I just don't understand it. I'm a good mother. I'm a good father. I want to spend time with my grandkids. I'm willing to babysit. I'm willing to do anything, but they don't want me around. They're just shutting me out. Yeah. So here's what we have found in a couple things. Is your sister a woman of faith?
Well, no, I don't. I would have to say no. She rarely goes to church, and so I see that as an issue. The daughter-in-law was Catholic, but they met at an Episcopal college and got married in the Episcopal church, and then she insisted that her husband become Catholic, and so he did. But then, for some reason, she didn't want to stay with the Catholic Church. So I do see faith issues on both sides of the equation. Where, and the other thing I wanted to say is she also doesn't want to interact with her own parents.
Her own parents. Okay, so she's distanced herself from her own parents too. Okay, that's a double whammy right there. Okay. Well, real quickly, but you practice the faith, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what you want to do is, what I would do is start praying for your sister, the whole family. Just start applying, and I'm sure you're doing this already, but start applying those prayers to helping bring the right people into view for all of them, so they can get the necessary therapy that they need to try and fix this. I've been doing this for over 20 years in life coaching. It usually doesn't solve itself unless there's maybe a tragic illness or accident or something that happens that kind of shakes everybody up and changes the dynamics a bit. But typically it just goes on for many, many years, and people don't even know why they're not talking to each other. It's really, really a horrible situation. And I can tell you that God, I don't believe God is pleased with any of this, because it's a breaking of the commandment, honor your father and mother. It's a breaking of that. And when we break the commandments, we're breaking our friendship with God. So it's not working on the God side of things. So what they need is some help and some encouragement to try and go slowly and baby step it to where they can start to build that relationship. I can tell you that hashing things out, trying to, have a sit down. It doesn't necessarily work. As a matter of fact, it makes things worse. Sometimes a heartfelt letter, just saying that, I just want to say I'm sorry if I've done anything, intentionally or unintentionally. Please forgive me. I really want to have a relationship with my family. Sometimes that can work. But you have to handle things really carefully, because the person that's breaking the relationship usually is very wounded. So she's very wounded for some reason, and she's not exactly, coming to grips with it. And now she's bringing her husband into it. So it's a complex situation. I can tell you, though, prayer works. And for those that, are listening and you're Catholic, go to Lady Undoer of Knots. Go to Our Lady and pray the novena over and over and over again, and ask Our Lady to step in and help with the relationship. But I can tell you this, Carol, that honestly, if the daughter-in-law is open to getting some help, that's what's really going to move this relationship forward and start to heal things. It can be very difficult if things just get buried and people just try to see each other and force visits and stuff like that. It doesn't always work. So there's got to be some kind of outside person maybe helping everybody to, hit the reset button. Hit the reset button and start over and figure out how they can do things. I don't know if that helps you, but I can just tell you that prayer does work. I've seen prayer and fasting works. And also to get help.
Well,
okay?
I agree with that. Unfortunately, the daughter-in-law does not think she needs any counseling, but
right.
she has insisted that her husband get counseling. And I think he's trying to hold the marriage together and be a dutiful husband.
Right.
But it is complex. It's very complex. And I appreciate your idea about the suggestion about the lady to undo the knots. Lady
Undoer of Knots. Go to Our Lady, the Blessed Mother. Lady Undoer of Knots, and it's a novena that you can pray over and over again, and it's very powerful, because Our Lady, she gets in there and she literally untangles everything and starts to make things where you see progress.
Okay. Well, I will do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Keep me posted, will you? Because actually what you have to share is something that we're dealing with all the time. So keep me posted. You can always email me at take2@ewtn.com. Okay?
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. I wanted to get to Carol because Carol's call is what we're hearing a lot of, and so it's very important. And so I thought that with people listening, you could benefit from our discussion. Amy's up next from Loma, Colorado on Alexa. Amy, thank you so much for waiting. You get our Patience Award today. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Oh, hi. Just want to say my mother-in-law is the best. I love her to death. I just finished talking to her. She lives in Maryland, and I live in Colorado, so I never get to see her much. But when my mom passed, I asked my husband if I could have his mom as a second mom, and he said yes. So she is the best.
On
the previous
Yeah, go ahead.
As a lady on the previous call, I understand my brother-in-law treats my family the same way. I haven't seen my sister in 6 years. And my dad's 78. She never comes to visit him. And my advice for that is if you talk to them, be positive. Ask them how they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and try to build the relationship. Absolutely. Do you call your in-laws mom and dad? I'm just curious.
No, I call them by their first names. My father-in-law just passed last year, but my mother-in-law still.
Would you feel comfortable giving us their first names? Like, I have the prayer book out for parents.
Oh, sure. It's Jim and Marion.
Jim and Marion?
Uh-huh.
Okay, love it. Okay, Marion, got it. Beautiful. I brought the prayer book out for all parents. That's wonderful. And it's interesting, Amy, as you're sharing, because I think it's important that when we do have really wonderful in-laws, that we do take the time to compliment them, share our feelings, our love. it's so important because it does glorify God when we do that, because this is a family that has been brought into our life through marriage, and when we recognize how beautiful it is, we see God in that, right, Amy?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree too. Thank you so much for waiting and gracing this conversation. I really, really appreciate it. You're so wonderful. So she's in Maryland and you're in Colorado?
Yeah, we've
Wow.
only got to visit just a few times.
Maybe she listens to
But
the
we
program.
call each other all the time.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. So you both ways, right? She calls you, you call her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is wonderful. I love that. Great job. Thank you so much for the call today. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Okay, Amy's going to free that phone line. That was a great call. I really would like to hear from you, so all you have to do is call in and share about your in-laws. If you don't feel comfortable giving your real first name, give your confirmation name. That's fine. You don't want to out family members if you don't want to, or praise your family members and then give your real first name. That's wonderful. And all you got to do is dial in 833-288-3986. That's 833-288 EWTN. Karen and Brandon and the others, call back, okay? I'm waiting for you. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Father Mike Schmitz. Please join me for Ascension's Bible in a Year and Catechism in a Year here on EWTN Radio. We're going through the entire Bible and the Catechism in 365 days. If you've ever wanted to understand what it means to be Catholic and allow those truths to shape your life, this is for you.
Bible in a Year and Catechism in a Year with Father Mike Schmitz, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on EWTN Radio.
How many times have you heard the complaint that the church is boring? Well, the problem is not that church is boring, it's that we are bored. We are the problem. We've lost our childlike sense of wonder. G.K. Chesterton says the children have abounding vitality, and yet they want things repeated and unchanged. They always say, "Do it again," and the grown-up person does it until he's nearly dead. For grown-up people are not strong enough to exult in monotony, but perhaps God is strong enough to exult in monotony. It's possible that God says every morning, "Do it again" to the sun, and every evening, "Do it again" to the moon.
Spend more time with the Apostle of Common Sense. Visit chesterton.org for more information and go to EWTNRC.com to discover more books and programs written and inspired by G.K. Chesterton.
Your favorite EWTN radio programs are all over social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, and they're available right now, on demand, day or night. Remember, EWTN is everywhere.
I'm Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. Join me for Beacon of Truth today at 4 p.m. Eastern.
On the next Beacon of Truth, it's a Word of God Wednesday as we also take a look at the Soulful Psalms.
Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
I'm asking the question today, do you appreciate your in-laws? And I asked for Karen to call back and Brandon to call back and Jean to call back, and Jean did. Thank you so much, Jean. I'm going to get right to you in just a second. I just want to do a congratulations shout out. So congratulations going out to our great EWTN partner, KVSG 107.1 FM, serving Twisp, Washington, is celebrating 9 years with EWTN. Congratulations to Father Pedro and his team at St. Genevieve Catholic Parish from your friends here at EWTN. Congratulations. Wow, that is so cool in Twisp, Washington. I love that. 9 years. Way to go. You're reaching a lot of souls. Okay, we had a question that just came in on the break. I'm going to address it in a moment on how do you prevent, when you're dating somebody, how do you prevent them from down the road, if you were to get married, from them saying, "Hey, I don't want you to have a relationship with your parents. I don't want this. I want it. Just you and me. We're married now, and we don't need our parents anymore." How do you know if the red flags are there, if you can prevent it? I'm going to answer that question. That was an excellent question that came in, but I need to hear from you. So 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. And one more time. This is my last time I'm going to do it. Karen in Mount Vernon, Ohio, if you want to call back. Brandon as well in North Dakota. But let's go to Jean from Corning, New York on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Jean. Thanks so much for calling back.
Yeah, sure. No problem. I was just traveling and the call dropped.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you hung up on me. No, I'm just teasing. Go right ahead.
So I was listening to the radio station, and I just thought a great story testimony of my relationship with my mother-in-law. So I've been married over 30 years, and for the first 10 years of our marriage, hindsight, looking back, I was trying to make my mother-in-law who my mother was, and that just wasn't working. And I wasn't, because we want people we try to fit them in our heart box. And so what happened is we ended up parting ways for like 2 years and not speaking, not talking to each other. But during that time, my husband and myself, we, by the grace of God, ignited a relationship with the Lord, and it radically changed our life. And my mother-in-law was the first person that the Lord had me call, and I will never forget it. And she was so gracious. I called her and I said, "Mom, it's me, Jean, and I needed to call you. I've missed you. I needed to tell you that I've experienced this love of Jesus, and I had to call and tell you about it." And she was just so gracious and so happy to hear my voice. And can I tell you, it's been over 20 years, and we've never discussed the disagreement of that time period. And God has only helped us to, that's what the cross does, it helps us to love people who are not like us. And can I tell you, my mother-in-law is my best friend. And we talk at least 3 times a day. I live 4 hours from her, but we talk multiple times a day, and I'm so thankful for her and our relationship. And but that's what the cross can do. And I'm thinking about it. It's that first commandment that comes with a promise that life will go well with you, and by honoring your mother and father. And but what needed to happen, and I encourage those moms who are struggling with their daughter-in-laws to pray for them, that they encounter a relationship with the Lord, because He's the one that makes all things new.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get on and encourage some mother-in-laws and some daughter-in-laws as well. And we always want to change the other person, but really what God wants to do is change us. And sometimes it doesn't matter who's right or wrong about any given situation, but that the peace of God surpasses all understanding will guard our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus, and that we can give it, and our children and grandchildren be able to pass that beautiful legacy of love.
Right.
So
I'm so glad you called back. That was amazing. Do you feel comfortable giving us your mother-in-law's first name? I brought the prayer book out for all the parents and grandparents.
Yes. Her name is Rosemarie.
Rosemarie. I love that. I had to fight back the tears when you said you made that phone call, and you said she was so gracious. I had to fight back the tears. Can you imagine how she felt? She probably loved that call so much that it was so warm to her heart. It hit her so strongly, and that was huge. And for you to do that and make her the first call, and to reconnect like that, and then just share from your heart, because we only know a person as much as they know God. And that's how it works with people. So you're absolutely spot on that God has to be at the center. God, and that's how we really have those deep, meaningful relationships. And when you did that, wow, I could only imagine that all of heaven was rejoicing, because that takes a lot for a daughter-in-law to do, and then for her to receive it. Wow, that was powerful. When you think about that phone call, you probably still remember it.
Oh, I do, definitely. It's as vivid as I'm talking to you right now. I was nervous as anything, but when I received this forgiveness from the cross, it was just like there was an impact. There was a difference in my heart and my life. And instilling me that love within inside my heart that it was just like, of course, you know, extend that same grace that he has, you know, given me.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's how God works. Wow. What a powerful call that you just shared with the world. And that can really help a lot of people who are struggling with relationships right now and not sure what to do. You would definitely see, it's got to start with ourselves. It just has to, you know, scripture tells us, right? You know, people are always worried about what everybody else is doing. We should be looking at ourselves first, right?
It's the truth. It is the truth. And then when there is division, because we got to remember that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but of spirits and principalities. This is war. And when there is division, we have to know submitting ourselves to the Lord first, and then praying for one another, because the war is actually in the realm that we don't see. And I'm in the midst now because I'm a mom of 7, and I'm interceding and praying for my 5 daughter-in-laws.
Wow.
And so it is, but God is faithful. That's all I can say. He is faithful, and I trust him.
Yeah, he is, and prayer works. We can't give up on prayer sometimes because we don't see prayer, right? Because we don't feel it right away at times. We don't know if it's actually being received. We don't know what exactly it's doing. We have to trust, right? Anything you want to talk about that, because you're a mom of a big family.
Yeah.
To trust God more, right?
You do. You have to trust him. That's what faith is. Faith is the evidence of the things we don't see yet, but we believe it. Yet we don't see it yet, you know. And if we say we have faith in Jesus and who he is, then boy, is he a God who does. And we got to trust him, even though we don't see, you know.
Right.
Abraham trusted God, and he didn't see all the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore that were going to be coming after him, the children of faith. But he died before he saw all of it. So we need to trust God, that we practice his principles of love and forgiveness, that he is faithful.
You are so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. You know what? I don't want to let you go yet. If you can just hang for another minute, because I want you to hear my response of a question that came in on break, and I want to address it. And since you are a mom of a big family, I'd like you to weigh in on this. Can you hang on for just a second? Okay. So the question came in about, like, if you're dating somebody and you love this person, you're attracted to this person, you feel like you could have a future with this person, and everything seems right, but is there any way to make sure that down the road, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're not going to all of a sudden wake up and say, I don't want to talk to your parents anymore, and I don't want your parents seeing our kids, and I want to move away from your parents? Is there anything you can do to prevent that? And here's my response, Jean, and I want you to tell me if you think I'm on track with this.
Okay.
When we're dating, the red flags are there. They're there. And if you look back, for any of us who've been in a relationship for a long time, and you look back, you can say, oh my goodness, I recognize there was red flags there. I just ignored them. I thought it was going to change. I thought the person wasn't serious. I thought that when we get married, everything will be different. So you really have to have your eyes wide open when you are courting, when you are dating. And I mean that sincerely. And you've got to put aside all these romantic feelings that you're feeling, feelings of attraction, and really understand that person. And like I said earlier, you only know a person as much as they know God. That's why it's very important to get to that religion talk right away in a relationship, to find out where a person stands with God, because then you'll know what you can build on. Now, I'm not saying I'm not trying to discourage people from, getting married if they marry somebody outside of the faith. I've seen beautiful stories of people coming into the faith, absolutely. But you want to make sure that heart is receptive. You want to make sure that person is in the right place, and believe them when they tell you who they are. Believe them. If they make comments to you when you're dating that I can't stand my parents, and actually I don't even like your parents, believe them. they're giving you the signs up front, and things like that should be addressed, and really either get some counseling and help to see if you can work through it, or maybe that relationship is not the right relationship. What do you say, Jean?
Yeah, I am in agreement, because the two do become one. So, I mean, I've been married over 30 years, and I think one of the things that makes unity in our home and our family is because I loved my husband's family and he loved mine. So there wasn't any of that constant division back and forth. Even then, when we gave our family to the Lord. So this is for a believer's, perspective, to be in unity. And that doesn't mean that you always agree with each other, because we're human. It doesn't mean you always agree with your in-laws. That's common sense. We're different people. But honor, because God honors honor. And that needs to, and because, we love each other. So I understand that he loves his family, and vice versa. He would understand that I love mine. So it is definitely a hard circumstance, but there should be red flags way in the beginning.
Right. Well, and you have to have those hard conversations. I've worked with a lot of couples that are dating, and I'll sit down with them and I'll say to them, "Have you had this conversation about this situation or that situation?" And they'll say no, and I'm like, "Why? Why haven't you? Why haven't you sat down? Because we don't want to ruin what we have." Well, you're going to have to deal with it sometime in the future. So you might as well deal with it now before you walk down that aisle, because it could be major problems. I can tell you, Jean, there's so much we could share about this, but I just thank you so much. You contributed greatly to this conversation. Way to go. I appreciate it.
Fabulous. If it was to encourage one mother-in-law right now to be able to pray for her daughter-in-laws, or one daughter-in-law to pray for her mother-in-law, and just be bold enough in the Lord, that's putting our faith into practice, And if my mother-in-law didn't receive that I knew that God had called me to do the right thing, even when the other person wouldn't have received it, And that's all that I was looking for. Is that as far as it is with you, the word says, be a good standing with everyone. And that's the goal. So, but be encouraged, moms or daughter-in-laws, on this road of faith. It is far worth, what is the Proverbs 31? She is worth far more than rubies. And doing that faith walk. But I'm so glad for the conversation today. I'm here and to be able to encourage other women.
Absolutely. Well, you did a great work today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for calling in. Now, I just want to share with our listeners, you do still have time to call in. So if you'd like to add to this discussion, if you have something different you want to share, some maybe tips or tools that worked for you, we're getting some messages coming in on Facebook. I'll share those in a moment. Please call right now. Don't wait any longer. You'll get right in. 833-288-EWTN. 833-288-3986. We're asking the question today, do you appreciate your in-laws? Let me share this with our listeners. Join us for the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, Monday through Friday mornings at 5 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Join Catholics around the world as we recall in prayer the devotion of Saint Faustina to our Lord. I love the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, another great, powerful prayer that we can be picking up that devotion to help with our families and to heal, and that's huge. But I'd love to hear from you, 833-288-3986. Call quickly, okay? You can get in, because Matt he's got his finger right on the button there. He's going to say hello. You're going to chat for just about a minute, and you'll get right on air if you wanted to say something about your in-laws. If you wanted to add their names to the prayer book, I have the prayer book open, so please do that. If you wanted to share any experience of having in-laws that you wanted to share with the world, now is the time to do it. So don't wait any longer. 833-288-3986. But let me move over to Facebook for a moment. Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. Dorothy said that she did not have a good relationship with in-laws. I did not. My mother-in-law did not like me, and she spelled in capital not. And see, that's difficult when in-laws do not accept the person coming in to the family. That can be a real problem right at the beginning of the relationship. So actually, to be honest with you, that sort of happened to me a little bit, but that's a whole nother topic we'll talk about. So it's interesting. When that happens, it kind of sets the stage for just kind of gossiping, things going, people talking behind people's backs, to making assumptions, and that it's not good to start the relationship that way. So that's another thing that everybody should have a sit down before you walk down the aisle to make sure everybody's comfortable with this person coming into the family, and being respectful. But Dorothy said that she did not. My mother-in-law did not like me, but after her stroke at our youngest son's wedding, she kissed my cheek and said she loved me. So the mother-in-law, she had a stroke, so things started to come into view of what was important, and she reached out to her daughter-in-law and embraced her. So that's what we're talking about. Things can happen. Things can change in a person's life to change the whole relationship. Surah says, love and appreciate my in-laws. Lived with them for a long time, and then I'm blessed with the best mother-in-law. She took care of my 3 kids and taught them about the Catholic faith. So blessed. Oh wow, I'm gonna cry. So Surah says that her mother-in-law taught her kids, took care of them, and taught the kids the faith. That's what I love about grandparents, you guys. It is so important to bring them into the family, because they have a lot to offer. As a matter of fact, a lot of parishes are going to where they're asking grandparents to step into religious education. So that is very important, because they bring a wisdom, they bring a knowledge, they can bring a depth of understanding of the faith. See, I'm going to cry, Sarah, so I'm so glad you shared that. I have seen it. I have seen junior high kids gravitate towards seniors and really try to ask them the questions that they want to know the answers to, and these seniors stepping up and sharing with them their lived experiences, so that these kids didn't have to go through it. It's so powerful. Please don't think that your parents and grandparents are old and it's everything they're saying is archaic, and it's not the new way, and we've got a new way of parenting and all sorts of things. Please don't think that way. Parents and grandparents have so much to offer. Lily is up next from Virginia on Sirius XM 130. Lily, thank you so much for calling. Take it away.
Yeah, I have a unique in-law experience. I married a widower a few years ago, and his mother and father had already passed away, but he had an incredibly close relationship with his late wife's family. His late father, his father-in-law was also deceased, but his mother and her sisters and brothers were living, and they embraced me. They encouraged Robert to date. She had died of cancer, and when I came into his life, he brought me into their life, and they have embraced me for the last 12 years like the sister they lost. It's been an extraordinary experience of love. I've never met a family like that, and most people are blown away by it, but I just find it true to their character.
Now, so again, I said you only know people as much as they know God. Where are they with the faith? Are they faith-filled people?
They were, unfortunately, what would I say? They are kind of New England Democrat family, and so faith was not something that they were raised in the faith. But as young adults, I think most of them have moved away from the church. But it's obvious that the values of their faith from childhood linger in their lives, because that's how they approach everyone. They know that I go to church regularly and bring my husband, their former brother-in-law, with me. And he was raised a Methodist. He had no faith. When I met him, he really wasn't practicing anything. And so the exposure through our marriage to all of us, their family, their side of the family, his family, himself, my stepdaughter and son, it's all been amazing. It's been a wonderful experience, and I truly think it's an example to people of how you can bridge through tragedy. We were never afraid to continue to talk about his late wife. She's a part of our family story. We've never been afraid to encourage people to recognize that it's a new chapter, but you don't have to pretend that the love that came before has no value to this day. And that's what his family shared with me. So I just thought when I heard the show came out of daily mass, by the way, and I heard that you guys were talking about this subject, and I know my story is quite unique among stories I've heard in this vein.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm glad I got to share it.
Yeah, I'm glad you had the opportunity as well, and thank you for going to mass today. I love daily mass, and but you said it's unique. Absolutely, it's unique. But it shows the power of love, and it shows how love can expand, and how we can move past some of the feelings that we have about certain situations, or holding on to, or if somebody did die, like in this situation, instead of just stopping there, we elevate ourselves even bigger than that, and bring more love, spread more love. And that's what happened in your situation. I love that, because that shows that God, when we limit God, that's exactly where he stays. He stays in that position because he's not going to force himself on us. But when we spread and we are Christ-like to each other with this accepting love of bringing people in and expanding the family, God is pleased with that. God wants families to flourish and to do well. God wants people to really hold on to their families in a wonderful way. And so I think that is awesome that they chose to go in that direction, and it benefited you greatly in your marriage. So that's incredible. Lily, let me ask you a question. Do you want to add any names to the book? Because I have the book out and we're praying round the clock for in-laws.
Yeah, I would add Margaret.
Margaret. Okay. Beautiful. And I love that. So you must have been like, "Whew, this is great. This is working out well because I'm accepted, and we can all be family and move forward." Do you? Does your husband feel the same? I mean, obviously he feels the same way.
He was thrilled with the way a
Very
family that had taken him in. He had come from a complicated childhood. And he found so much love and encouragement from his father and mother-in-law, his late wife's parents, and was so loved the family they had created that one of the highest priority when we'd been dating for a while, and he was really concerned not only about introducing me to his children, but also to her family because it meant so much to him. And I will never forget the first dinner we had. I was terrified that they would be hurt and frightened, and even though they had encouraged him to date, you're stepping into someone else's place in the family story. And that first dinner cemented that these people understood what Christ meant by receiving people in love, and that's exactly what they have done. And it's been an extraordinary experience seeing how that can happen and helping other people not be afraid. That I think what I deal a lot with people who have lost loved ones and who are coping with grief in my work and my life, and it's interesting that this family presented to me such a perfect example of walking fearlessly into the gift that God would give in the person of a new relationship, and that's really cool. That's a wonderful thing to be able to use as a teaching tool.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Thank you so much for closing this conversation today in such a perfect way. I really appreciate it. You're very blessed, very, very blessed. And thank you for adding to this discussion. Wow. Guys, if you got something out of this program, please share it far and wide on social media. We believe that's a good use of social media. We want to thank the affiliates that carry the show live. You're allowing all of us to come together with these calls. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the show team, Matt and Michael and Charles. Great job. Tomorrow I'm going to be asking the question, what do you think of the Jubilee year Vatican official mascot, the anime character Luce? If you don't know about it, look it up. See you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.
Life coaching has been around for many years, helping people with their relationships, careers, health, and finances. However, with Stand Tall, it's all Christ-centered, and with that important focus of mind, body, and spirit. We take life coaching to a whole new level. Find us at standtalltoday.com.